And one of the other things, good accessibility, is ensuring that your website can be found. And one of the biggest things people don't realize, digital accessibility enhances your SEO ranking automatically.
This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nick Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business, get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today. All right, well, we come to now the segment that is my favorite segment of the evening, and that's where we bring on our guest speaker to come and talk to us about what their specialty is tonight and what really interests them. So tonight, our topic is all about accessibility. Well, in fact, it's about digital accessibility and really helping you to tap into an untapped, highly profitable market niche using digital accessibility. So here to speak about that tonight is Narelle Gatti. Now, Narelle is a certified accessibility auditor. She has over 30 years experience in digital technology. So she's only new to the game. So she's got lots and lots of experience and all that there. She's worked in both public and private sectors. And in fact, we were talking just before the show about some of the code that we've used. So anyone that knows so COBOL or BASIC or there's a ton of those old coding languages, some of them still used today, would you believe? But you'd never know it because everything's all just drag and drop these days. But Narelle was there in the days when you actually had to write this code and test it and run it, and probably like me using punch cards. That's where I learned, was on punch cards at university. So really the early days of the internet. So she's developed and maintained desktop applications. So she's used Microsoft Unix products. And she's also been a project manager on a number of projects. But one of the things that is unique about Narelle, or maybe not so unique because there are a lot of people with it, she lives with vision impairment. So she lost her sight in her 40s, and with the assistance of technology and her guide dog, Rocket, Narelle takes on challenges that most sighted people would balk at. So it hasn't slowed her down one bit. So she works with a team of digital accessibility accredited trainers, auditors, and information technology consultants, goes into businesses and helps them to do exactly what she's going to be talking about tonight. And that is, how do you make your online experience for people accessible for everybody? So for people with disabilities and impairments, so they get an experience there that is the same, or is equal to or equivalent to people that do not have a disability. Which, by the way, I think probably most of us here today have a disability. Narelle told me I have a disability because I was standing talking to her, and she asked me the directions, I think, on phone, or how far away something was. And I'm standing there with my phone at arm's length, trying to get that right distance between me, so where the font wasn't too small and where it wasn't too blurry to actually read the phone. So if you find yourself doing that, well, Narelle tells me that there is a disability. So that is most of us here on the show. So that means tonight's show is for you. So welcome along. So thanks, Narelle. Looking forward to hearing what you're saying tonight, what you talk about tonight. So let's welcome Narelle to the stage. And we'll probably just need to unmute you, Narelle. So we're not ready.
There you go. Is that better?
That's perfect.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks, everyone, for having me. Yeah, as Nick says, I live with a severe vision impairment, and the wonderful Janine Vosper just sits and laughs at me when I do silly things in the meetings. Guide dogs throwing up, that's happened, all types of things, because I'm not aware of what's going on around me. So what I thought I'd do tonight as my cue to make it easier is I've got a PowerPoint, and I've made it as accessible as possible because it can be made as accessible as possible. You won't actually hear it, but I've got headphones on as well that are going to be reading the screen to me. So I have a screen reader that I use all the time, and I have it on phones as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and let's get into it. Okay, can you see that, Nick?
Yep, that is perfect.
Right. Okay. So look, what I want to talk about is exactly this. It's accessibility, digital accessibility, but it's a conjunction of a few things. And really what digital accessibility is, it's communication. That's all digital content is. It's a different way of getting your message across to other people, whether we're using phones or emails or websites or PDF or whatever the form that you're using, it is a form of communication. So what I want to talk about tonight is usability, disability, accessibility, a little bit about the standards and just why it's so important, because it is an important area. So what is usability? And when I get my screen reader to work, and I'll jump up, there we go. So, I mean, the first thing is, well, what problems do people experience with usability? You know, it could be anything from bad color on a website, it could be bad font, it could be the information is just not there, or you can't find the cart for whatever reason it is, or you're trying to use a mouse and it's not set up properly for a mouse, or you're on a mobile phone and it's not set up properly for a mobile phone, which is shocking considering what 80% I think now is the number of searches and things are done on mobile phones, but it does happen. So that's what we're looking at. You know, usability is, you know, can be too complex. It's, you know, use of abbreviations, use of complex words. Look, it covers everything. Basically, it means you can't find the information that you want, so you move on. There's no point in staying on that website or with that company or whatever. There's no point. You're wasting your time, and who's got the time to waste? We don't. So usability is, according to the Interaction Design Foundation, it's how well a specific user in a specific context can use a particular tool efficiently and satisfactorily. It does what they want. A blunt knife, it will cut, but it doesn't cut well. A blunt pair of scissors, you know, if you sharpen the knife, you've got a usable tool. So really what we're saying is digital communication should be easy, efficient to use, effective, understandable. It's no point if it's not understandable. And if it's not understandable, it's definitely not effective. Tolerant of errors. You know, how many different ways can you type in a date? You know, you can be on a US site and forget it's what month, day, year instead of day, month, year. It, you know, it's all types of, you know, ways you can enter information. Able to be controlled by the user. That is a big one. You hop on to a website and those pop-ups hit you. I can't turn them off, so I leave the website straight away. I cannot control what's happening, so I leave the website. And that's a big thing that people don't realise. And really, it's about minimising barriers, minimising the obstacles so the person can find the information they want. You can make the lead, you can make the conversion, and you can actually build a relationship, because that's what we're talking about. So user design is the process of making something usable. And it's the way you create a product using, you know, it's a whole process that takes into account who is using it, where they're using it, why they're using it, what barriers may be there to cause them to not use it, when they'll use it, where, and as I said, why they're using it. Sorry, I was just getting my mouse to catch up with me. And that's what user design is. User design, in a lot of ways, at times seems to go for form over function, and it's really got to be turned around. Put your functionality in place, that the button always does what it's meant to do. Then make it look good afterwards. If the functionality is not there, you can have all the form, all the looking good you like, but it's still not a useful shop front for you in the case of a front page of a website. That's what it really comes down to for user design. It's making something that works for your client. And like there's a lovely lady called Kate Smith, and between her and Janine Vosper, because I will reference Janine a couple of times, and as they've said, you know, in our morning tea marketing meetings, really, it's not about you and what you like. It's about your client and what they need. So accessibility is, according to Cambridge Dictionary, it's being able to be reached or obtained easily. It's the most simple thing that we can have. It's being able to open that cupboard if you're very short and reach the coffee. It's being able to look at the screen and know how to write an email. It's accessible. It's being able to enter a date. What I'm particularly talking about in digital accessibility is that two-way conversation to make communication and to build the relationship between you and your client. That is what we're talking about with digital content anywhere. It's passing information so you're both on the same page. So really, the first thing is understanding the client's communication needs. And I was telling Janine a story a while ago, and it happens so often. How often do people say to their clients, how would you like that sent to you? If you take someone that's not technologically savvy, they may want it on paper. Someone like myself will want it in an accessible format by email. Some people prefer text. Some people, it could be any number of ways, but that is a question that is not often asked, and I encourage everyone to ask that straight off when they're sitting down with the client and they're wanting to get that client across the line. Because it is such an important thing. It is acknowledging that everyone has a different communication need. Not everyone has the same. And it needs to be, you know, and the information has to be understandable, regardless of the tools and regardless of the abilities. And I'm going to quickly show you, well, I can't really show you screen readers, they're a bit hard, but I'm going to talk to you about different tools that are used out there. And you'd be surprised the tools that are considered to be assistive technology tools. And we're talking inclusivity and diversity. And really, at its basis, it's like everything, it's good design. It's avoiding the garbage in, garbage out, which is a term that I remember learning way back in the late 80s, early 90s through uni and when I first was working in IT. It's put in good, clean information, good design, considering your clients, and add a few strategies and techniques, and you've got a good, accessible content, regardless of whether it's PDF. And don't forget, this applies not just to websites, it applies to your emails, PDF, excuse me, your Word documents, your Excel, PowerPoints. You can't see it, but this PowerPoint is accessible because I've got it talking to me, it's talking to me in a logical way so that I can understand it. It can be put into Braille, and again, it would still work. The contrast is there so that anyone with some type of contrast issue, I've tried to ensure that. It is ignoring all the pictures, which for me is useless. I don't need the video, the images. I've told it to ignore it. And one of the other things, good accessibility, is ensuring that your website can be found. And one of the biggest things people don't realize, digital accessibility enhances your SEO ranking automatically. And it's just such a simple thing when you think about it. And websites, simple, easy to use, readable. Where does the two of them meet? Okay, Tim Berners-Lee is the guy that invented the web. And the reason, and there's his, hang on, I've got to get it right. The power of the web is in its universality. Access by everyone, regardless of ability, is essential. And that's what he envisaged it to be. It's not, but that was the ultimate goal. And Tim Berners-Lee, after he did all that stuff, he and a group of people went and set up a company, a not-for-profit called the World Wide Web Consortium, W3C. And that's where the guidelines that I'm going to be talking about come from. So it's not just him, it's Microsoft, Google, Oracle, all the big techo companies, your universities, people like me that are passionate about it, developers, we all have input into these guidelines, and it's worldwide. And they, you know, what they're saying is that anything that limits a person's access to information is a communication barrier. It's a digital accessibility barrier, which is what Tim Berners-Lee with the World Wide Web Consortium and all the work he's done wants to avoid. So what barriers? Colour. How many times do you see colour contrast is, you know, not that bad, not that different. So for me, if I put navy, black, dark brown, all those same intensity, I can't tell the difference anymore. If you'll notice here, I've got black writing on a white background. It sticks out, it's readable. I've looked at the font type as well and tried to make sure that that's a very readable, easy on the eyes and easy on the brain. So there's not a lot of processing of the actual letter itself to make it readable. Noisy rooms. Naming conventions, they drive me crazy at times. You know, click here is a terrible thing to put on a link. We don't know what you're wanting us to do. Click here, it could be click here to take us to, who knows, the AFL game that's going. It doesn't mean anything. Naming conventions are a terrible problem. Bad lighting, noisy rooms, bad structure on anything is a terrible problem. And by that, it can be readability, reading orders out. Even the way you design your tables can inhibit or cause accessibility errors. Bad formatting, that's a really big one. Not putting alternate text in on images, all of those things. And one of my pet hates, considering I can't see, is videos without captions, because you're automatically cutting out anyone with a hearing issue. Now, there's a stack of different assistive technology tools out there. How many people wear glasses? That's an assistive technology tool. Magnifying glasses. Hearing aids, they're another one. Even down to, most people don't realise the computer, the keyboard, one of the original purposes for the typewriter back in the late 1600s, early 1700s, a couple of blokes in two different areas of Italy actually designed a form of typewriter so that their blind friends could write legibly. They're assistive technology tools. Screen readers, and they're a tool that speaks to me and reads the screen. There's 3 different types. Speech to text, we all, you know, Siri, Cortana, those things, they're all assistive technology tools as well. Braille sensors. Now, what most people don't realise, only those people that have never had sight tend to learn Braille. The reason being, it's the only way they can learn good grammar, punctuation, spelling, everything else. Someone like myself that got it later in life, I've got no need to learn it. I've got all the tools I need. They come on my computer. Every computer except a Linux or Unix-based computer has the accessibility tools. Every smartphone has the accessibility tools built in. Puff and sip tools are what are used by people with quadriplegia. And I won't go into it too much. I've only seen them working a couple of times. Basically, when you suck in, it acts as a form of mouse blowing out. We'll do a tab It's just different ways. You can use eye movement as well. Mobile phones, as I said, a lot of those things. Kiosks, they're a form of computer. They need to be considered as well. You know, you go to the shopping centres and you type in, I want to go to Bright Eyes or the chemist or whatever. Those are considered a computer and they should have accessibility tools built in. A lot of them don't. And like anything, all the tools that we can talk about, they're only as good as the design of the web page or the document. And a classic is how many people have tried to read the terms and conditions on when you buy a house or rent a house. The font's very small and it's nearly unreadable. When you make a major sale or a purchase, that is an accessibility barrier. It breaks so many rules, it's not funny. And to be honest, the people that can read it successfully are the people that use Siri or the people like myself that use screen readers, because we can get it to read to us. And yeah, pretty boring, but it is that's probably the one advantage I do have. That's the way I read those things. My husband doesn't read them, he leaves it to me now. And why make them accessible? Some stats for you. And this is where I'm hoping you go, oh, wow. There are 4.4 million people in Australia with a disability, and that was the 2018 census. There was about 900,000 people back in 2018 that said English is a second language, and it caused a lot of communication barriers. We're, with those two figures, looking at the population of Queensland. That's a fifth of the population of Australia, just under a fifth. Who can afford to ignore a fifth of the population? And that's what happens when digital accessibility is not included. That's a huge percentage. And this is the one that I found out the other day and I went, holy smokes. There are 13 million people, and I think that was about 2019, that survey, Australian Institute of Health and Welfare. 13 million people, approximately, with chronic long-term eye problems. It's half the population of Australia. So 549,000 had colour blindness. So if a website doesn't have that built in, how many people are being not catered to? 411,000 with cataracts. That's blurriness, a few issues there. We all know people, or some people will have had it themselves. 244,000 with macular degeneration. Again, that's one that can affect what you can see, all types of things. 131,000 with blindness to the level of I've got. But look at all the other figures. Every one of them will be buying services, websites, getting emails, everything else. And it is such a frustrating thing when you cannot read that information. When you've got to actually, I've got at the moment, I get letters from my mother from DVA, email to me, and because it is not accessible, I actually send them to my brother. He reads them and then he tells me what I've got to do. Now that's a bad way to have to work, but I'm my mum's carer. So other than the 13 million with sight loss of some type, there are 3.5 million with some form of hearing loss. People, it could be just as, mild, no hearing in one ear to major hearing loss. That's a lot of people. That's why captioning is important. It is so important. And that's the figure I sort of wondered about, 1 in 20 with ADHD. That was the figures I could find. To me, it seems a little low. I could be wrong, but it's still a lot of people with health issues that for some reason or other, websites may be inaccessible, and not just websites, your emails, everything. This doesn't include temporary problems like broken arms, broken mice, broken keyboards, bad lighting, hearing, vision, broken glasses. It's so many reasons, like just losing sense of touch, or, for, badly cut fingers, you've got them wrapped up in plaster, whatever. It's a big issue, and that's temporary, situational disability. And the other reasons why, and these, other than the stats, financial, because there's just under 20% of the market is not being marketed to correctly. The information's not accessible to them, or not completely accessible. And the cost of not implementing is lost sales. People, how bad's your bounce rate? Because people, and you never know whether someone is using assistive technologies, because it's actually illegal to get to that level of tracking. So Google doesn't do it. And there is no way to know that someone's using a screen reader anyway. You just don't know. Magnification, none of those things, you can't tell. But it's the cost of lost sales. And word of mouth's a big one. A couple of months ago, and this is how quickly bad things that happen get around. A couple of months ago in Toowoomba, there was a person denied access to a motel with their guide dog because of the dog. Within 20 minutes, I'm in a guide dog handlers group. They got onto our group and said, someone help me, I need to find somewhere. I'm in Toowoomba, I need to find somewhere to stay. 20 minutes. They put the name of the motel up, so we all knew which motel not to ring. 4 or 5 people hopped on and found somewhere else. By the end of the day, it was on the news, everything else. That is how quickly news gets around, and we're all aware of it. But word of mouth too can also be good. There is, and I'll tell you a classic, is Burrito Bar. I go to Burrito Bar a bit because I can actually hop onto the website. I can read the menu. Food mightn't be great. I don't care. I get the choice of what I want to eat, how much I want to spend, what I want to drink. I can find out what the options are. And so we go there. We might go there once a month because I've got options. There's a bar in Southbank, Hop and Pickle. Their menu is not accessible at the moment, but the moment we book in, we get the menu emailed to us. So we all get the menu. He actually goes out, the owner goes out of his way to come and meet us. He'll go and pick someone up from the train station, down at the ferry, walk them back, because don't forget, we're all blind. So, and they treat us just like they're normal people. The last time we went, and we go there regularly, there was about 12, 14 of us. Every one of us spent a minimum of $80. And we tell everyone about that bar. Word of mouth. It is such a powerful tool. That's the reason why, and the reason why not. Why why not do it? Practicality of use of websites. One of the guidelines says, no matter what tool, the website should be able to be viewed on all tools. So that means the website has to be viewed, made with the mobile phone in mind, with the tablet, with the computer, with the braille sensor, with the screen reader. It has to be a multi-purpose tool. And it is an improved market share, because it's seriously, there are so many people that can't access the information. It's surprising if you actually realised. And yeah, we've discussed that. And I've done that twice. Inclusivity, diversity, that's another one. And the other one is, as technology changes, because we're talking good design, well-constructed websites, it is much easier to update a website to the latest code, plugins, whatever, if you've got a really well-designed and well-constructed website. And be part of a global movement. And that's exactly what it is. It is a global movement. There is a push now, the federal minister, and I'll talk more about this in a minute, but the Australian federal minister is looking at updating the Australian standard to be current. Right now it's not. New Zealand, it is current. The US, it is current. It's throughout the world. And being compatible with other technology, and that's exactly it again. Be the example, and that is such a big one. Again, the 2 bars that I talk of, they get more people going in because they are accessible. I mean, the hop and pickle even goes down to when they put the glass in front of us, they actually will say, Narelle, the glass is directly in front of you. Or if they put the plate of food in front of me, they will say, Narelle, I've turned it so the chips are on your left, your burgers on, or whatever it is. It is such a good example of what true accessibility, great communication, and great service is. And then there's corporate responsibility. And if you hit the bigger firms, and like government is meant to, Australian government meeting the Australian standard, they don't. The Queensland government's meant to be meeting the WCAG 2.1 level AA, they don't. And I'm being really nice and quietly mentioning it to them because it frustrates me. If I go to the department, I have to take my mother to hospital and I cannot find the information I need, it's frustrating. And the reason, the only reason that it does cost a tiny bit, but what you get back is much more than what it costs. And it's like any practice or any new thing, and when you start doing it, it just becomes second nature. It's like you all use Control-C to copy. That's how simple this is. The Australian law, okay, the standards here in Australia are maintained by Standards Australia, the guidelines. The actual standard is ASEN 301-549:2020. That's equivalent to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines to version 2, level A, I think it is. Now, the current global standard is version 2.1, and 2.2 is due to be released 2 weeks' time. So Australia is behind the 8 ball already. And the levels, there are 3 levels, A, AA, and AAA. A is the most basic. We don't recommend anyone just go to A. It doesn't give your target audience enough assistance. AA is beautiful. It's not much, it's actually very easy to go to AA. It's very simple. AAA is very expensive. You know, when we have cyclones and you'll see the premier there and you'll see someone signing off to the left or the right. That's a AAA standard. Extended audio description, some parts of audio description, high contrast of a 7:1 ratio, complete operability, they're AAA standards. We don't recommend going to that. That's too expensive. And mostly, actually, I can't think of an area where you really do need to go to that unless there is an extreme reason, such as cyclones and things like that, which the government should do. You know, it's natural emergencies. Now, this set of guidelines is backed by the Disability Discrimination Act 1992. You can never, ever get sued for not being digitally accessible. However, you can be sued for discrimination, and that does happen. And I've got two examples there. So the Human Rights Commission becomes involved, and the first process is mediation, which obviously business brings in lawyers and different things. And actually, there's one more example that's just nearly finished, and it ended up at the UN. So the one big example is the Sydney Olympic Games. You could only buy tickets online. People that were blind were not able to buy tickets. So a guy called Maguire took them to court, and he got compensation for it. And he should have. He could not go and attend the games because he couldn't buy the tickets. And, you know, some people would say, well, get your support worker to do it. Part of being independent is being able to do things for yourself. And that's important. Everyone likes to be able to do things for themselves. The second one is Coles, and I can never remember the name of the lady, but online shopping. A lot of people with disability and a lot of people without disability buy their food online. Coles were taken to the Human Rights Commission, and they actually had to redo their online shopping to make it accessible. And she didn't want compensation, she just wanted it accessible so that she could go and buy her groceries online, which gave her independence and gave her choice. The other one, and about 6 years ago, there is a lady called Lauren Henley, and there is meant to be, and I can never remember the percentage of audio description on TV. Australia didn't meet it. She went to the Human Rights Commission. She was basically, yeah, okay, whatever. She took it to the United Nations and she won. So now, I think it was by the end of March, the Australian government and the ABC had to work out how they were going to put more audio described shows onto the ABC. And that's why now you're starting to hear ABC has released more audio described shows. She had to take it to the Human Rights, the UN, to get it, but she did it, which means I got to watch the Bluey cricket special, and I so wanted to hear that, and it was so good I watched it twice because it was accessible. So the Australian standard is used in Italy, Japan, UK, Europe, US, New Zealand, all first world countries, even down to a fair few of the third world countries. They all enact levels of it. Not the same level all the time, but it's there. And this is where the part that I love. So the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, this is the fun part now. That's all, you know, just the stuff explaining why it's important. This is what it is. The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines were created by the World Wide Web Consortium, W3C. It's a series of guidelines, just like there's guidelines on how to write HTML and what makes good HTML and what makes bad HTML and JSON and jQuery and VBScript and all these codes, SQL, even SQL. There is standards and guidelines created by the W3C on how to write all these things. They realised that not all websites were accessible, so they created a web accessibility initiative. Why? And out of that's come the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. There's only 4 principles around it. And it is said it's implemented worldwide, version 2.2, and it covers everything. The best part, version 3, it's not in draft yet. They're doing a lot of work on it. It's even going to cover virtual reality. That's how awesome this is. So we've got 4 principles, and the acronym for it is POUR, P-O-U-R. And the first one is perceivable. And that is, if you look at this screen, everything on the screen has to be considered for accessibility. So I know from memory there's a B somewhere, left or right, wherever it is. I've actually said ignore it. For me, I don't need to see it. But anyone else, if it's zoomed up, zoomed down, no matter what, it's still recognizable as a B. We look in Perceivable at the font size. We look at the type of font. We look at color. We look at video. We look at animations. We look at anything that, any element of the screen comes in under Perceivable. It's got to be recognizable. It's got to be distinguishable. The next one is Operable. An Operable looks at how you're accessing it. Are you using a touch screen? Are you using screen readers? Are you using a mouse only, keyboard only, braille, voice only, voice to text? And don't forget, this all applies to PDF. There's PDF. There's anything that goes into your website. If you've got a PDF download, if you've got a video, if you've got audio, imagery, fields, forms, anything is all covered by these four principles. So operability says you should be able to access it using a keyboard only, using a touch screen, a mobile phone only, mouse only, and there's a whole series of tests in and under it. And then there's within Perceivable and Operable comes things about videos, that it's got to be captioned. If you're not using audio description, you have transcription for a video. If you are, and that's for people that can't see. Captioning is for people that can see but can't hear. And it's quite interesting. My niece was talking to me the other day, and she does not watch Netflix unless the captions are turned on. It annoys her partner like crazy. And I said, don't you find it frustrating, the bad grammar and the bad punctuation? And she says, yeah, but I like to have the captions on. I feel better, Auntie Bell. I don't miss anything. But in Perceivable comes bad grammar, eliminating grammar, eliminating bad grammar, eliminating bad punctuation, spelling, bad spelling. How many times do you see on YouTube or Netflix or any of those things? They've just done automated captioning using AI tools. They've not gone back and checked the grammar, the spelling. The moment you don't do those things, you're actually losing people, because you're not getting the message that you want to get across, or you're getting the wrong message. Captioning is important. Color, making sure that the contrast ratio is 4.5 to 1 at a minimum. Thinking about the type of images you use. Don't use word art. There's a whole suite of rules just in the, even down to the types of menu you use on a website. If you use hover, a menu that's activated by hover only, that means anyone like myself will never see what other services you've got, because we cannot access that part of the menu. And it happens so often, you'd be surprised. Even down to labeling, headings, labeling, and that comes into the third one, understanding. And it's thinking about your wording you use. It's thinking about the level of wording. And one of the examples I always give is, in a previous job, I actually worked in the electricity industry, and we often had electrical engineers from Germany, from India, all over the world. And if we used, like if we were writing up a system document or a usability guide or whatever it was we were writing, we had to keep in mind that we couldn't use Aussie slang, because they had no idea what it meant. If you had used a word that was quite technical, you put a definition at the back of the document. It's little things that make it understandable, but you keep to the KISS principle with understandability. If you're doing a form, make sure you've got labels. Someone that's OCD and I've seen people do it, where you've got the in-field labels, you tab in and they go, oh, now what was that meant to be? So they tab out, they refresh the screen and tab back in. Or people with short memory spans, people that are in a hurry, they enter the wrong information in the wrong sites, get frustrated. Having a label and then the field solves the problems. Error, identification, that you put in what type of date format you want. If you want to restrict the information, use a drop-down box, restrict it. It's very simply done, but it guides them in the information that you want them to enter in that form, saves you time, so you don't have to clean up as much information, saves them time, they know what they've got to enter, and makes the user experience more enjoyable. The last one's robust, and robust is that there shouldn't be any coding errors, there should be help if it's needed, things like that. That it does work on a mobile phone and on your tablet and on your computer. And there are tests that, you know, most standard web developers can't do. I do it because I use these tools myself. So I test and make sure it does work on a number of browsers, because different browsers will do things differently at times. You can't get away from that. The conformance here in Australia, and why I put it in, it just annoys me. In Australia, you do not, you can basically go and say, yeah, I reckon my website meets the guidelines. I've read the guidelines, yeah, I reckon she's done. The analogy I use is, if you're going to go and change the oil on your car, make sure your windscreen wiper fluid's there, give it a bit of a clean, yeah, your tyres got 1,500 more on your tyres, and you write out the roadworthy certificate yourself. That's what can happen here in Australia. And I'll be honest, I'm one of those that are pushing to have it mandatory that it is done by someone else, for a few reasons. One of the first reasons, in IT, you never do the final testing of your work yourself, because you only ever test one way when you do it yourself. It's just what happens in IT. You get so used to doing it, the keystrokes, anything, you will not find errors that someone else will find by the testing. Number two, get people with disability to test it. They're the ones that will find the errors that other people won't find, because they on a daily basis, an hourly basis. And there are people that do that. And number three, you're being inclusive. You're saying that you care about everyone, and it's going to build your market again. The moment it's audited properly, you get a certification that says this website meets the W3C standard. That adds to your SEO. And then you get people like me that, big mouths, we tell everyone, and we do. Like how many times have I mentioned Burrito Bar tonight? Because their menu is accessible. It's just simple stuff. It does make a difference. I'm not sure what's on the last page, contact information. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And all I can tell you is it is so important. The Olympics are coming. The Paralympics are coming. We are going to be exposed to people from all over the world with different levels of language, different disabilities, different abilities, and that's important. It is different abilities. So let's all be inclusive and put in digital accessibility. Is there anything I can answer? I'm not sure whether I've given you too much, not enough, because I can't see anyone's faces.
Excellent. And I think if anyone's got any questions to ask, don't drop it into chat. Unmute yourself and come and ask a question.
And say your name, please, because obviously I won't know who it is.
Actually, that's a thought. It's Paul here, Narelle. Good to see you.
Paul. Hey, Paul.
So your screen reader can't read things like the chat box?
It can. I actually had to turn it off because it was annoying the heck out of me, because I was trying to concentrate, and that's why I was getting lost a couple of times, because what the screen reader does, it reads anything that pops up. So if an email had come in, it would have jumped to the email. So I actually had to turn the notifications off as well for that, and then it would jump back to So the easiest way was to and like for me, it is keystrokes. And I could lose my place in the presentation. So I've learned to turn off the chat box, turn off my emails, and then I can concentrate on what I'm trying to explain. Yeah.
You've done very well.
Oh, thanks, Paul. Did I give you the information you needed, Paul?
Yeah. You know, I could see you sort of having a little niggle about videos that don't have captions.
It's not a niggle. It is.
Yeah, I know. Because we spoke about it ages ago.
Yeah, and it wasn't at you.
Yeah.
There's a lady over in the US called Merrill Evans. She is deaf, and her take on things is really interesting because she's saying, you know, there's 3.5 million people in Australia.
Yeah. But things like the TV shows, if I watch stuff on Netflix, I always have the captions on too, because so often they're in, like, it's a bit like you not being able to see the image, but the TV shows, they're so wrapped up in what they're saying. What did he just say? Hang on, can I go back? Oh, it's a TV show, it's gone, you know. So it's often good to have, and that's someone with, well, shall we call it normal?
I'm not
normal eyesight and hearing. So I can imagine how difficult it would be if you're hard of hearing or hard of seeing.
Yeah.
So yes, I might put a little bit more effort into some of the work that I do.
Thank you. It's appreciated.
Not streaming 8 hours of conference.
No, you've got to be reasonable at the same time. You really do have to be reasonable. My standard thing is every 5 minutes of video can take me, depending on how many people are involved. If it's one person, I can caption it in 15, 20 minutes. But if there's 4 or 5 people talking, it takes ages.
Because then you've got to do voice recognition of who was that.
Yeah.
But I should be doing it. I acknowledge that, and thank you for. I should be doing it for when I make a 2-minute video promotion.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Thanks, Paul. And we've got Roz has got her hand up there. How are you, Roz?
Hi, Roz.
Going well. Hi, Narelle, Nick, and everyone else. Yeah, I did put in the chat a question. What font is this document written in? Was my first question. So what font do you use? That
I tend to, the headings, if I do headings, I use Verdana, and it is a serif. The rule is you can use serif for headings, but your body, you should use sans serif because it's easy to read. You're trying to get the brain to concentrate on what the words are and not what the shape of the word letters are. So
I do prefer reading sans serif personally anyway, not that I'm my sight's okay, even I'm wearing glasses. I do find sans serif a lot easier to read, and certainly the colour is important. It's been very helpful because I know a lot where I work is a disability support work provider, and I'm not sure how optioned the website is. I don't have control over that, but I can look at it with a new light now.
I would suggest, and most NDIS, most service providers, their websites are not accessible or limited accessibility. And it is a real bugbear for those of us with disability because it limits our choices of who we can go and work with.
Yeah, I mean, as you're explaining, I'm trying to envision what do I remember, because I went through every page to just proofread it, but that's all I was doing was a proofread really, because I did find just a few small errors. And I thought, well, with all of that, there does need to be a fair revamp just to bring in some of those options that you'd mentioned. So yeah, found it very interesting.
One thing I wanted to mention, I know you recognise this.
Hi, Janine, my mate Janine.
Is that, look, until I start doing the recordings with Narelle and the team for the Morning Tea Marketing Misses, I really didn't understand alt text. And I, put all the images and all the text and everything and posts and blogs and everything on my website, but I'd never filled in the alt text. And now I make sure that, everything has its proper definition and description of what is on there. But that's only sort of since the start of the year. And well, I got my VA to go back to all the images on there to do them, because they're so important that they all have that on it. So that was big learning for me. Thanks, Narelle.
Oh, you're welcome. And don't forget alt text, it's got to be succinct. Don't say a green tree with scrabbly bark and the leaves are dropping down to the ground, because it's too much. You've only got 100 characters. Keep it short, keep it brief, because if you have some text and then an image and then the text again, you need to make sure it's still lined up. So you don't want the image to take away too much. If the image is there for a purpose and to add context, you might say a green tree in a paddock or a bottle tree in a paddock with cattle around it. But you wouldn't say, and the cattle are Brangus mixed with speckled. It's too much information. Just be very aware of the amount of information you put in alt text.
Yeah.
And that the byproduct of that, I think Narelle mentioned it before, is it does help your SEO. Interestingly enough, most people do not put an alt text on their images. What they're missing out on is not just the assistive readers, but they're missing out on a whole lot of search engine optimization. It's one of the easiest things to do. So you're ahead of your competitors now, Janine. Well done.
Thanks, Nick. And you can put that up on when you post on LinkedIn as well. When you post an event or put a picture up, you can put the alt text there as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Janine had to laugh when I got really excited when she said I did it. I think I amused Janine for the next 5 minutes.
It's not just the alt text either, particularly when you go to your website. There's a description and a title, a few other things now that would all help the SEO. But are those things detectable by yourself then, or is it just the alt text?
No, I can actually, if it was a link, I would hear link.
Mm-hmm.
Then whatever the wording, like if you didn't actually give it a nickname of DASAT website, if you put link and then you just use the URL, which is https : XYZ, whatever it is, that's exactly what we hear.
Okay.
So if like if you do an image, and it would actually mainly we would get the alt text.
Yeah.
Because but we like if you put a title, it might be, and that was when it can get a bit irritating at times. So I don't know, wherever the B is on the screen, it might hit the B and it would say B, and then I'll text B, so you'll get B. Yeah, it's just being aware of that as well.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Good. That's all.
And the other one, I know that Paul is working on fields for forms, which this one's just for you, but those form fields, when you mentioned that, Narelle there, I'm one of those people who starts filling in a form, and if they haven't got those labels on, I think, what am I actually filling in? And I've got to copy and paste everything that's in it, and I will copy it out, cut it out, read what the form field was, and then paste it back in.
Yeah.
So if you're only using those placeholders, that doesn't affect just people that have
That's right.
a disability. It affects those like me with a short memory span.
Yes.
And I found that option today and turned it on.
Wonderful. Yeah. Acquired brain injury, you'd be surprised the number of people that it does affect. It's a simple thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That interesting one about the date formats too.
Oh, yeah.
Again, in this same form that Nick set up for me, and I've been working on expanding its capabilities. Instead of a text field, I've created a date field. That makes sense, to put someone's birth date and their death date. But the format to enter it, and I had to put it in by trial and error, it's actually year, month, day, all in one string. And I thought, okay.
That breaks actually one of the predictability rules, because someone that, again, like people with cognitive issues, people that just don't read the format at times, and they would automatically here in Australia do day, month, year. US they would do month, day, year. It is one of those, and that's where I really struggle. Being an old coder, I used to be able to control the formats of the dates, and I would, just do that, fix it. But now in WordPress, I go, gosh, okay, how the heck do I do this?
Well, most of the Microsoft locality settings allow you to change and specify what it is. Which is good.
Yeah, that's right.
I wonder if you wrote down 1, 2, 3, if an American would think that that is 132. That's as logical as the way they write their dates.
Everyone has their preferences, don't they? Yeah.
Well,
shut up.
I don't mean to interrupt your flow there, Paul, but it's probably time we're getting towards the end. If anyone's got any questions or they want to contact you, what's the best way to do that?
There it is. I put it up there. I figured that's the easiest way.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's just drop that into chat there. I'll put that into chat.
Thanks, Nick.
People that are going to be downloading and saving that chat. I've got it there. So was it reception at
DASAT?
DASAT, dasat.com.au. Yep.
All right, we've got that in chat, and 0427 100 383.
That's me.
Perfect. Excellent.
And what I always say, don't forget, our group is majority of us are blind. Leave a message, because we will turn our phones off or turn the sound off when we're in meetings. So therefore, we've got no indication of whether there's a message or not, other than the fact that missed phone call. So we always say, just always leave a message, then we will ring you back.
Excellent. Well, that's been very eye-opening, Narelle. There were some things in there that I recognised about myself. So thank you for pointing out some of my disabilities that I didn't realise that I had. But also as someone that codes in the web and has been in the online space for a long time as well too, I'm aware of some of these accessibility items and protocols that are available online. But there's some things that I'm not aware of as well. And so you brought some of those out tonight. Even simple things like the 4.5:1 contrast for colours. So it's a big thing. Some of the funky designs you see on websites are like green on green, light green on dark green, which must be terrible for accessibility. So
people just leave the website. It's easier.
Yep. So a good design doesn't necessarily mean, I should say good looking design doesn't necessarily mean good functionality. So, and that's always the thing that, people, I suppose, need to consider when they're building their website as well. And I'm one of those people that never had captions on Netflix, and my partner has captions on Netflix. And so now I've learned to live with captions on Netflix, and I find myself reading these captions as well. I can't draw my eyes away from the captions.
How's the grammar and punctuation on it? I'm always curious.
Yes. Well, actually, sometimes the words that they have are not exactly the words they speak on the screen. Especially swear words. So, they never put those into captions. They turn it into something else. So. But thanks again, Narelle, for the show to talk to us and enlighten us tonight. Now, we do have a door prize for tonight as well, too. So tell us about that.
Okay, what it is, it's a 20-minute, it'll be a Zoom session with me, and I'll talk you through how to make your email signature accessible, because that's one of the most important things in your email.
Yes. Won't be just using a photo, will it?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I've seen so many signatures where the whole thing is in a JPEG, all the words, everything.
Lots of people have got that. Lots of programs out there with that as well too, and highly inaccessible.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's draw our prize. So we've got a special way of doing this. We have a wheel of names that is coming up on the screen. So it's a spinning wheel. We've got everybody's name is on the show in there. So they've got a slot on the wheel. And of course, you need to be in the room today to win the prize. If we draw it and you've left, well, you will never know, will you? Because you've left, we'll just redraw it again. So, JM, let's spin the wheel and have a virtual drum roll, please. The wheel is spinning and it's going to land on the name of Jay.
It's Jay.
Jay, that'd be Jay Stewart. Are you in the room, Jay?
I didn't see you, Jay.
Jay is not in the room. I know he's getting prepared for a BX networking meeting, his very first one that he's running tomorrow as the team leader. So he's probably gone off to learn a script. So unfortunately, he doesn't win that. So someone let him know. I'll let him know when I see him. Let's draw it again. All right, so the wheel is spinning once again. It just crept past Paul Sheaf's name and it landed on Ron Nesbitt. Are you in the room, Ron?
Oh, he's gone too.
I think he's gone as well. My goodness. Well, that means everyone's all in with a chance again. So let's hit that spinning wheel again. So we're going to be eliminating all these people that have just sort of ducked off early.
Janine.
And this time it is going to be Janine Vosper.
Hey, Janine.
I said to myself, this time it'll be Janine Vosper. So of course, thank you.
There you go. Intention. That's all about intention, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It didn't work on the golf course today, but anyway.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different game, that one, isn't it? So, yes. Excellent. All right. Well, look, thanks again, Narelle, for coming to share your wisdom with us tonight. So glad I caught up with you in Brisbane to have a chat about that. And such a good topic for tonight's show as well, too. So let's give Narelle a big virtual round of applause.
Yeah, good on you, Narelle.
Thanks,
you.
Paul.
Thank you very much.
Janine. Thank
Everyone
you.
was clapping, Narelle.
Oh, you're
We're all
wonderful.
clapping.
Thanks, Janine.
Thank you. Very informative.
Thanks very much.
Now, if you do want to watch this again, it will be up on the Smash Go YouTube channel tomorrow afternoon. We will drop all of those links into chat here. So just give us a moment or two, we'll drop those into chat. And then once the links are in chat, there we go, they're all in chat now. You can go and save the chat by clicking those three little dots at the bottom of the chat box. That will save your computer and all of those links will be clickable and you can click on it as you want. For YouTube, if you visit YouTube, click on the link, go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, click the bell that appears beside the subscribe button. Then you'll get a notification when that video is ready and uploaded to go and watch. Now, a couple of people couldn't make it tonight, so they'll be on watching the replay as well. We'll be back again, same time, same place, next week on Zoom with another sort of excellent session as well. So thanks again, everyone, for coming along tonight. Thanks, Narelle, for coming to join us. And have a good evening.
Where else would you be on a Tuesday night?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nick Cree, spelled Nikree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.